the more over here at HTM Sports. How's everybody doing this fine Friday afternoon, man? So I just wanted to go live for a little bit, share my thoughts on some of the things surrounding these combine interviews, some of this offseason speculations, the rumor mill, just different things like that, man. So I got about an hour, to give y'all. I have to go get my grandson in about an hour or so. So we got about an hour to kick it, and rock. So everybody that's checking in with me, man, please go ahead, hit the like, the share, and the subscribe button. Anything that you do will be greatly appreciated. We are trying to grow the channel. I am campaigning to reach 1,000 subscribers to get the page monetized so that I can invest back into the channels, try to bring you better quality stuff. Y'all saw what y'all did. Y'all invested in me. I was able to invest in this microphone to improve the sound quality of the show. So, please share, please like, please subscribe. If you are having in your heart to do more, I will be adding the Cash App to the chat, and it will be Henny the More at Cash App for donations right here. And I'm pinning it to the top. So yeah, man. So there's some speculation about roster moves, and like I'm very sad to hear it though, man. Like they are saying, the Dallas Cowboys, are not close to a deal with Leighton Van Der Esch, and they are also not close to a deal with Donovan Wilson. And and I'll be honest, I am a guy that was not big on Leighton Van Der Esch playing the middle linebacker position. I thought he was better suited to play his original weak side linebacker position, but he has played well for us this year. Right, he did get banged up. He had to miss some time with a neck injury, and he started slow. But towards the middle of the season and towards the end of the season, his play did pick up. He was very productive for us. So if he has to go, I understand. He wasn't one of the guys that I was trying to prioritize to bring back. But now it sounds like that's not even going to be an issue. My biggest thing was I wanted the Dallas Cowboys to invest heavily into the middle linebacker position and bring in somebody like Bobby Wagner, right? With Tremaine Edmonds and Bobby Wagner both being free agents, that those are guys that I would like to come in. Those are two players who have been playing postseason football, who are true middle linebackers or true run stuffers, can analyze offensive schemes and offensive sets. So that's who I would prefer over Leighton Van Der Esch anyway. But I do hate that he's not even going. They're not that he probably priced himself out of Dallas. He has contributed to us in the past, so best of luck to him. But a name that bothers me that they are not close to re-signing is Donovan Wilson. And like I'm very big on Donovan Wilson being a priority for the Dallas Cowboys to resign and retain, because Donovan Wilson does a lot for us, right? Like and Donovan Wilson, he's a homegrown guy. Like we drafted him out of Texas A&M a couple years back. He didn't really get a chance to play till around 2 years ago when Dan Quinn got here. But no, up since that point, he has been very productive for us. Like if Donovan Wilson, and listen, if Donovan Wilson had a bigger name, like Donovan Wilson would probably have gotten all pro considerations this year. That's is how good Donovan Wilson has been playing. That's how good Donovan Wilson has been playing so far. So he's a guy that had 5 sacks last year. He had a couple interceptions. He played a lot of big nickel for us, so he was playing in the box. He was so he was a lot of times he was acting similar to a linebacker with some of the sets we were running him and Jay Ron Curse. So a guy like him, losing him would be a big detriment to what we're trying to do, on the defensive side of the ball, right? Because he's been playing that big nickel for us. He has experience now. And safety was a position that we had neglected for quite some time. Up until Dan Quinn got here, right? We remember the days of Jeff Heath and Will Cox and guys like that who didn't really have great foot speed or anything else like that. So I don't want the Dallas Cowboys to be the franchise that devalues that position again, because they have paid dividends investing in the safety position. You saw us bring in J. Ron Curtis. I know he wasn't a big name, but he played great, and he was able to get a second contract with us. Like I want them to follow that same mode with Donovan Wilson. No, the initial rumors is that they're nowhere close to signing him, right? So that needs to change. Like we definitely need his assistance on the defense. We're not trying to take a step back on defense, especially if we do not do anything of significant note to you know improve the middle linebacker position, right? Because with the amount of big nickel that we play, you cannot lose J-Ron Curse and you cannot lose Donovan Wilson. Like they play a lot of snaps of football for us, especially since we're in Dan Quinn's scheme. You don't usually see a traditional linebacker that often, right? So they have to find a way. And let's just look at the raw numbers for Donovan Wilson, just so y'all can get a better understanding of his impact and why it is important for us to retain him. And again, I'm gonna use the PFF grades first, just to give you a general understanding. Always take PFF with a grain of salt. I am not completely aware of how they use their grading system. I do not always agree with their grading system, but he has a production that actually matches the grades that they gave him. So I'm willing to use it this time, but in general, take these with a grain of salt. So for the season, the 2022 season, Donovan Wilson had 77 tackles, one interception. He was targeted 31 times, and he only allowed 20 receptions. Right. So he played damn good football when you consider that. And that's not even considering what he did as a pass rusher. He graded out as a 70.1 overall, 72.9 as a run defender, 87.1 as a pass rusher, and in coverage, little less, a little more shaky, but 64.5. But he was, playing big nickel. He was playing in the box a lot, and as you saw by the numbers, he was not getting targeted that much. He was 51st in targets and only 59th in receptions allowed. So, he was not a liability in the passing game by any means. He said, "Don't worry, the free agent market is big this year. Wilson will sign later, like Curse last year. He will be back. I hope that he's back. We definitely need him. We definitely need him. And I'm big on signing Donovan Wilson for a 3 to 4 year deal. I don't really like that they only signed Jalen Curse for a 2 year deal, because we're gonna have to go right back, you know, to the table with him next year, because he's gonna be unrestricted free agent himself after this season. This being the last season of his contract, and if he plays like he did last year, right, like he will demand a little bit more money as well. So I'm all for locking these safeties that we have into longer contracts. And let's keep it real, man. Safeties don't make all the money in the world anyway, right? Safety is a position where a majority of them make under $10 million a year. A majority of safeties make under $10 million a year. So with that said, there's no detriment in signing the guys to long term contracts. There won't be big cap hits. You can retain their talent and their services, for much longer. So it makes more sense to sign these guys to longer term deals. Hey, Chill Bill, what's cracking with you, kinfolk? I appreciate you tapping in with me, man. So yeah, but yeah, like I hope that's the case, right? I hope that is the case. I hope that Donovan Wilson is able to be retained, and LVE, more power to you, more power to you. But yes, so that's the first one I wanted to touch on. If you are late coming into the stream, there is a rumor floating around right now that the Dallas Cowboys are nowhere close to having a deal done with Leighton Vander Esch or Donovan Wilson. I just spent the last five minutes or so rambling on about Donovan Wilson, so y'all know who I think the priority is. LVE, while he was serviceable, I think he's a better weak side linebacker, and I think I have younger, more athletic weak side linebackers on my team. When you look at a guy, right? Like Damone Clark. He can do LVE's job. He's not ready to play middle linebacker, but as a pursuit linebacker playing on the weak side, I think he has the athleticism to do so, right? So I think the Dallas Cowboys need to retain Donovan Wilson and they need to make a run for Bobby Wagner in that regards. Also, since we were talking about the combine, everybody gonna be excited about these guys with these fast 40 times and things along those lines, right? But I'm not a huge guy on the combine, just to keep it real with you. Oh, hey, I appreciate you. Oh, I appreciate you, JW. I think that's my boy. DC for life. DC. I'm a butcher, but I appreciate you for the $5 donation, Ken folk. When your name up here in the screen in the chat box, I can say it. But I know exactly who you are. I appreciate you for the love and support, brother. So yeah, man. So there you go. Yeah, DC for life. Yeah. See, I remember who he was. I had to see the name to get it down right. But yeah, so I'm not a huge guy on the combine, man, because it's crazy to me that a guy can have two or three very productive years in college, have great tape. They have, like, if they're a wide receiver, they have multiple 1,000-yard seasons and things like that. Or if they're a cornerback, they have all these interceptions and pass deflections and good, and they're making plays down the field, not giving up touchdowns. It's crazy to me those guys can then be devalued based on how they perform in shorts, right? Because let's be honest, like, game speed is completely different than 40 time. It's your ability to stop on a dime and then accelerate again. It's your burst that's more important than the actual 40, because there's going to be very limited amount of time where anybody is even running 40 yards on the football field. So, I think it's crazy that people devalue these players based on their 40 times, right? Because Jerry Rice, when we talk about 40 times, he ran a 4.7. Keenan Allen, who has been a perennial Pro Bowl wide receiver, ran a 4.7, right? Shannon Sharp, I think, only ran a 4.6, right? So, like, I don't put a lot of stock on 40 times. It, like, these guys, a lot of these guys can run 40 in shorts, and then they put on football equipment and they slow as hell. So, it really just depends on your game speed for me. But enough of that. I actually brought the combine up, to talk about some of the guys that we interviewed, and we did talk to quite a bit of players at the combine. Right, we talked to a bunch of wide receivers. We talked to a bunch of different quarterbacks, and I actually have a list of guys that the Dallas Cowboys met with during the combine. Once I get it pulled up. All right. Matter of fact, I got the entire list of everybody that they met with. Okay. All right. So these are the wide receivers that the Dallas Cowboys have met with at the 2023 NFL Combine. All right. So we have here Jordan Addison, wide receiver from USC. Jackson Smith and Jigba, wide receiver from Ohio State. Tank Dale, wide receiver from Houston. Hey, Coach Marv, I appreciate you for the $5 super chat. I mean, $5 donation, brother. I appreciate that. That's why we can wait, because the offers will be low. Hell, no one LVE free agent, LVE long from Tennessee. I also like as a middle linebacker free agent pickup. Yeah, man. There's a couple of great middle linebackers out there that can instantly improve the ability for the Dallas Cowboys to compete. Right. I know we've been talking about Bobby Wagner. We've been talking about Tremaine Edmonds. But there are some other middle linebackers out there that in the free agent market that can actually be a cheaper upgrade over Leighton Vander Esch. So, and I think there's a couple guys in the draft that can eventually develop into what we need. But for the just the prospect of trying to compete and be competitive and take a next step, I would prefer a veteran, right? And we'll touch on some linebackers too. We got some time. I still have another 50 minutes or so. So we can touch on linebackers after we go through these guys that they had draft interviews at the combines with. All right, so I said Tank Dell, wide receiver from Houston. We also talked to Zay Flowers, wide receiver, Boston College. Mitchell Tinsley, wide receiver from Penn State. Rakim Jarrett, wide receiver from Maryland. Tyler Scott, wide receiver from Cincinnati. My boy, Jalen Hyatt, wide receiver from Tennessee. That's the guy I'm very, very big on, on the offensive side of the ball. Right. So, my pet cat for the cornerbacks is Emmanuel Forbes. And my pet cat for the wide receiver, I ain't gonna say pet cat because everybody wants Jalen Hyatt. He's a dog. But those are two guys I want on both sides of the ball for skill position wise. All right, so Trey Tucker is next. He's a wide receiver from Oklahoma. Joseph Marvin, all right, Marvin Mims. No, yeah, Marvin Mims, wide receiver from Oklahoma. Joseph Ngata, wide receiver from Clemson. And then these are the quarterbacks. Hendon Hooker, nice prospect, quarterback from Tennessee. Max Duggan, who is going to be a bit of a project, quarterback from TCU. Malik Cunningham, quarterback from Louisville. Dorian Thompson Robinson, who I think is much better than people are giving him credit for. Quarterback from UCLA. Clayton Tune, quarterback Houston. And there's a couple more on here. But out of those guys, right, who do you think? Oh yeah, the linebacker out of Texas, Overshawn. Yeah, I think he fits the bill of a typical middle linebacker. Has experience and size. I like him. I like him a lot. So out of these wide receivers that we have spoken to, who do y'all think the Dallas Cowboys should draft? And matter of fact, who do you think is even a realistic possibility? Because based on some of these 40 signs, and based on some of these other combine drills, some of these guys are going to rise and fall. Some of these guys are going to rise and fall exponentially. Action Pal, what's up with you, man? I appreciate you for tapping in with me. So I already told y'all I'm very big on Jalen Hyatt. I just don't know if Jalen Hyatt will be there by the time we have to draft. By the time by the time is all said and done, I think that he's going to rise. Some people have him as a second round pick. I think by the time everything is said and done, he might rise into the first round based on his production last year. And if he kills the combine, I think a lot of people will use that, as a way to propel him up the draft boards. So I like Jalen Hyatt, but I just don't know if he will even be there at number 26. You know, Robinson from Texas. Let me take a look. Was he one of the guys they interviewed? Let me see. Yeah, I don't think they interviewed him. Okay, but yeah, I definitely would do. I definitely would take him. But there's really, when it comes to the wide receiver position, man, there are a lot of guys in this year's draft with some good potential, right? Even a guy like Jackson Smith in Jogba, right? He is a guy who had a monster season and then was hampered and could barely play this year because of a hamstring injury. So like and he's a guy that's homegrown. Like he is from the Dallas area, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, they looked at a bunch of corners too. I have that list over here as well. Matter of fact, I'll go ahead and give y'all the corner list, and then we'll just combine and we'll talk about both sides of the ball. Then we'll talk about who we want wide receiver that they interviewed, and then we'll talk about cornerbacks that they interviewed that they could bring in. Hyatt is from my hometown. I watched him his whole career. Be very, very careful on Hyatt. Only 1 year of college success. Okay. Well, I feel the same way with people that are very high on Drew Sanders because on Drew Sanders because I'm from Arkansas. I watch all the Arkansas Razorback games. I do think that he's a guy that can contribute, but I don't see him being worthy of the number 26 pick. Now there are people that are projecting him to go in the first round. More power to him, but I do not see it. I don't think that he merits a first round pick. Like a first round pick pass rusher is need to be somebody like Michael Parsons, right? Need to be somebody like the Watt brothers, right? Those are legitimate first round pick pass rushers. Like I don't really see that with him, and it's the same thing. He only had one good productive season. He said he didn't pull up high years at Tennessee. All right, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that. Let me get through this list of defensive backs, and then we'll take a deep dive on both sides of the ball. We'll pull up highest statistics, and while we're at it, we'll talk about Emmanuel Ford since those are the two guys that I've been campaigning for. We'll look at both their stuff. So the cornerbacks that the Dallas Cowboys interviewed were Makai Garner, cornerback from LSU, Emmanuel Forbes, complete ball hawk, Mississippi State, Joey Porter Jr., Penn State, Miles Brooks, LA Tech, Khalid Ringo, Georgia, Christian Gonzalez, Oregon, Julius Brents, Kansas State, Darius Rush, South Carolina, Devon Witherspoon, Illinois, Razon Wright, Oregon State. Hey, B Bird, what's up with you, man? I appreciate you for tapping in with me. So yeah, those are all the cornerbacks that we interviewed. Now, I think they're just doing their due diligence. I think there's no way in hell that either Christian Gonzalez or Joey Porter falls, right? So I don't think they'll be there in the first round, and they're definitely first round picks. But I'm very interested in Emmanuel Forbes because of his upside. Now I know that there are some question marks because of his size. He's only 180 pounds despite being 6 foot. So he's a very skinny kid, right? There's questions about his long speed. Hey, what's up, Common Sense Lab? You say you finally caught up with me live. Yeah, man, I appreciate you for tapping in with me, brother. So yeah, so there are questions around Emmanuel Forbes, right? They question his long speed, they question his size and his ability to be able to play his play style at the next level because he is very aggressive. He is a guy that tries to be physical in the run game as well when trying to stop the run. But what you cannot deny, 14 interceptions is 14 interceptions, and that's what he has in his three-year college career. Man got 14 interceptions, and he set an NCAA record with 6 pick sixes. Right. So not only is he getting his hands on the ball, but when he gets his hands on the ball, it's going the other way for a score a lot of times. So I like that. He's a playmaker, right? And truth be told, you don't necessarily have to have long speed and survive, to survive in the NFL, right? But there are plenty of cornerbacks that only run 4.5s. You know, some of them only run 4.6. Different things like that, and they play in the NFL for a very long time because even if a guy is faster than you, if you get your hands on them, right, you inhibit their ability to reach their maximum speed. You know, that's pretty much what bump and run coverage is. So if you do that consistently, you don't really have to worry about the long speed, right? Because if you're playing bump and run, you're slowing them down. You're right there in their hip. You're pretty much running on top of them. Then you don't really have to worry about that. So it's going to be with him. It's going to be like a scheme fit. If we're going to allow him to play bump and run, right, in this cover one offense or this cover three sets that we sometimes throw in, then I think it'll be fine. Because remember, Richard Sherman was not a guy that was a super fast cornerback either, and he's probably going to be a Hall of Famer. So I like, even though people have these concerns, and I get it because it is the combine. You are looking at everything when it comes to these draft picks and how you evaluate them and why you're taking them in this round and so on and so forth. But I think just because of his playmaking, right? I think just because of his playmaking and his upside that you can't pass on getting somebody like him, especially since he's only projected to be a second or third round pick. So yeah, so I would definitely get him. So Coach Marv had wanted us to look at at Jalen Hyatt's college production, right? And I saw that too. That this was his breakout season this year. So let's take a look at Jalen Hyatt. Let's take a look at his numbers. Hold on. Where is? Okay, here we go. All right. So yep, this is definitely his best year by far. The other two seasons that he had, his freshman year, he only caught 200. He only caught 20 balls for 276 yards and two touchdowns. Sophomore year, he only caught 21 balls for 226 yards and two touchdowns. Right. This year he exploded. Played more games, caught more balls, more yards, and more touchdowns than the other years combined. Right. So he had 67 catches, 1,267 yards, average 18.9 yards a catch, 15 touchdowns. So Coach Marv is not wrong when he says that this is his only year of production. The only thing that we can hope for with him if we were to draft him is that his production is based on his evolution as a player, right? Because you hope for player development, you hope for these guys to get better year in and year out, you know. So hopefully, when it comes to that aspect, hopefully that's what's going on with him. Hopefully that you know that 1 year is not an anomaly. Hopefully that was just the next step in his evolution as a player, the next step of his regression as a player. Hopefully, but like Coach Moore said, he followed him for quite some time. He's from his hometown, and this is the first time he's seen him play like this. I mean, this is the first time any of us seen him play like that. So that is a very valid point when making these evaluations. So the only thing you can do at that point is project. We have to project to see if he can do that again and do it at the NFL level. So and that's really why he had a lot of people have him going into the second round, right? Because he was a lot of people have him being a second round talent because he only had that production 1 year. So that is a very valid point. So what are y'all thoughts? Since we up here rocking, we up here chopping it up this fine Friday evening. It's past 5 o'clock now. It's evening time. So how do y'all feel about these interviews, right? And don't get me wrong, there's gonna be another batch of interviews anyway, right? They're gonna have the all 30 or whatever visits. After a while, they're gonna actually bring some of these prospects into Dallas, to the Dallas Cowboys facility. So some of these interviews right here are just people doing due diligence, right? But if there's any smoke, there might be fire. So who are y'all hoping the Dallas Cowboys bring in from this group? Right, we just listed those cornerbacks that that they talked to. We just listed those wide receivers that they talked to. No, which one of those guys are you high on? Right, and even the guys that you don't think there's a chance of Dallas Cowboys drafting. We're just talking right now because I don't really believe that they will be in position to draft Gonzalez. I don't believe they'll be in position to draft Joey Porter Jr. But there are some very good defensive backs and some very good wide receivers out here in this year's draft. Now, a lot of people may not know about all these kids, because there's hundreds, literally hundreds of college kids coming out this year. But who do y'all feel? Who do y'all think? Go ahead, and put it in the chat box. If we draft our position, we will be odd man out on the depth chart. Why man? With wide receiver, right? With wide receiver, I don't think there's really going to be a odd man out, right? Because they're paying Michael Gallup, so Michael Gallup is going to play, and Noah Brown is not even on the roster right now. T.Y. Hilton is not under contract either. So at wide receiver, unless they sign a free agent that they're investing in, there's not going to be a guy that's going to get displaced by somebody they draft, right? Now for cornerback, right? We draft a cornerback, then I don't foresee that Anthony Brown will be back then, right? Because Anthony Brown had a ruptured Achilles. He probably is not going to be ready to play anytime soon anyway. So I don't think Anthony Brown will be the man out for cornerback. Now offensive line is interesting because I don't know what the hell they're trying to do at offensive line, right? Because first they announced that Tyron Smith would be, first they announced that Tyron Smith would possibly be a cap casualty, and then they came out publicly and backed them, said they would love to keep him on the team. So with that being said, they did not even let Tyron Smith get his regular job back when he was healthy, right? They had Tyron Smith playing right tackle. So if they were to draft a lineman, I don't know who actually would be out, right? Because are they looking at Tyler Smith as the left guard, or are they looking at Tyler Smith as the left tackle, right? Are they gonna sign back um Terrence Steele? No, I think they should. I think he's still a great player. I think he should be ready to start the season. But there's a lot of question marks on the offensive line, so I can't even honestly answer that one. And linebacker, there ain't gonna be an odd man out there either, because if they draft a middle linebacker high, he's going to start. Leighton Van from the from what we were talking about to start the show. Rumor has it they're not even close to re-signing him right now. So LVE probably will be the odd man out in that respect. In that respect, I like Overshown from Texas being a Dono replacement. If we were going to lose him, projected third to fourth round. Yeah, but I still need my safeties, because us getting a middle linebacker just allows Aaron Curtis and Donovan Wilson to go back to playing safety full time, right? So I like the idea of us adding a middle linebacker, but and yes, Avante Collins is still with the team. Avante Collins is actually still with the team. I believe we signed him to a future contract. But yeah, I want us to sign a middle linebacker so that Ron Curtis and Donovan Wilson, can be freed up, right, and so they can stay healthy. Because even though they didn't miss time, really, they were getting dinged up, having to deal with offensive guards a lot, playing in the trenches like that. So I'm all for Steele's going to be signed, 5 mil tender, easy sign, Henny. I hope so. I hope they get that contract done, and I hope they go ahead and give him a long-term deal, right? Because when he was healthy, he was the top-rated run blocking right tackle in the National Football League, and our run game was actually dominant when he was out there. When he left, our run game could do nothing. We were averaging under 3 yards a carry as a group. Our running backs were. So I definitely need them to retain his services, and I definitely need them to be smart with addressing the middle linebacker position. Just because you go out and get a middle linebacker, don't let your safety position dip because of that, right? Because you have one of the better safety rooms in the National Football League right now. Right, Malik Hooker does not have the same speed that he used that made him a first round pick, but he's still a very serviceable safety. Jaron Curse and Donovan Wilson, if they had bigger names, they could have had all pro considerations, in my opinion. So, you got a very good group of safeties. And, I haven't even mentioned guys that haven't really gotten a chance to contribute yet, like Marquise Bell or nobody. So you got a good group of safeties. You just need to keep them together. You just need to keep them together at this point. So I would definitely still prioritize signing Donovan Wilson because of the versatility. He can cover, he can tackle, he can play big nickel, which is basically linebacker. In this system anyway. So I would definitely want to keep him around. Did Ringo move himself up in the draft for that 4.36 40 time? Yes, and this is the thing. Like we watched tape on Ringo with Landlord. It's not saying that he's not. I'm not going to say he's a bad cornerback by any stretch of the imagination, but I don't think he's special, right? So I I don't even think I don't think he's worthy of pick number 26. So there are probably going to be people that will draft him in the first round. I don't think Dallas Cowboys should draft him in the first round. I think there are other guys who have higher ceilings than him, but I'm not a draft expert anyway. But yeah, like 40 times I always move these guys up, up the draft and down drafts. I don't know why, right? Because you have film, you have all these other measurables that actually matter more than 40 times. Because him running this 40 in shorts, you know, does not prove anything when he has to have game speed in weighted pads and helmets and all this other stuff. So I don't know. Yeah, scouts love the underwear Olympics. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And you know what's real, dog, man. The combine is more entertainment for us than it is anything for like than like actually player evaluation. At least when it comes to like 40 times, right? Like a 40, like you're not really gonna need to run a 40 at any point. There are more accurate ways to analyze the quickness of players, all this other stuff. Like dog, like these guys, like sports science and college football got so big now. Like the technology that they put on the guys in Dallas, right? The technology they use in the NFL, they use in college too. They're clocking these guys. They know which players are running 22 yard or running 22 mile per hour on the field and things like that. Like you don't need a 40 you don't need a 40 time to solidify that. Like in an actual football game, you clock this player running 20 miles per hour. That is fast, right? Like he ran 20 miles per hour in a helmet, and shoulder pads, right? So that should be enough. His tape says that he gets open and he's consistent. That should be enough, right? So like I think people, try to outsmart themselves with the combine. Witherspoon, best cornerback Cowboys need for run support. I do not know much about Witherspoon, Mr. Keema. First and foremost, I appreciate you for stopping by, chopping it up with us. Eastside Herald, same thing, Kim Fuck. I appreciate you. Texans looking nice at the NFL Combine. Show enough. Show enough. But yeah, man, I'm not big on the combine, man. Like there's better ways to evaluate these players. It's entertaining as hell. It's entertaining, and you you know get to daydream and project about these players being on your team and different things like that. But I'm not big on the combine. But yeah, matter of fact, let's check in on the combine, man. Since we're all here just hanging out, I ain't been paying no mind to the combine. So let me take a look. All right, so I'm gonna go to USA Today. They're giving live updates and results for the combine. So let's take a look at that. Since they're talking about the combine, let's take a look at that. Let's see. Well, they supposed to. I'm having trouble navigating. I ain't worried about it. I ain't tripping on it. When you watch film, they don't even like look like they're 40 speed. No, they don't. They doing DB bad now. Had 4.48. Is there a safety in the draft you like just in case we don't sign Wilson? Brandon Hill ran a 4.44. Mm, yeah, there's a couple safeties. I like Branch from Alabama. Let's see, but I don't like this. This is the thing with me with positions like safety. I'll say safety, defensive tackle, and left tackle. Like those are guys where I prefer veterans at. Middle linebacker as well. So like those are like four positions where I prefer having a veteran player. Like college to like transitioning playing wide receiver and running back and tight end. It's not that big of a jump, right? So it's not that huge of a jump, right? From from playing in college to playing in the NFL with those positions. Running backs, you see hole, get the ball, follow your blockers. You've been doing the same things as you were in Pop Warner, right? Wide receivers, same thing. Like it's not it's not that big of a difference. But with middle linebacker, that's a very cerebral position. Safety, especially you're playing free safety, you're the last line of defense. You have to know what the hell's going on. You have to have your wits about you. Right, defensive tackle, like you're playing against grown men. So I don't there's not a lot of kids that can just wake up and go beat up a grown man right now. So I do not expect my rookie to do so. So no, I haven't really looked at a lot of the safeties in this year's draft. Like my main priority is getting Donovan Wilson signed. If Donovan Wilson does not sign with us, go all out and get Poyer. Good point. I like that outlook. So what free agent safety out there? I don't trust him with Wilson. I would go out. I would go out the board from. I would go after the boy from Buffalo. I would go after Poyer. In fact, I'll pull up his statistics for you. Yeah, he's a little bit older, but he is 31. He has been playing significant football in the postseason. Last year, he had 4 interceptions. Over the last 2 seasons, he has 9 interceptions total. Right, so he's getting his hands on the ball. So let's take a look at him. And technically, like he would be a strong safety, but but he is a guy who has some pretty decent cover skills. He can play both safety spots. I would take him. Even though he's not a true free safety, I would take him. So yeah, but hey guys, I gave y'all 44 minutes. I am actually gonna have to step out to go get the little one. I will try to go live later on today and give y'all some more quality cowboy content. So everybody, please, on your way out, if you have not already shared, hit the share button. If you have not already hit the like button, hit the like button and subscribe it. And if you ain't subscribed, please do that. So hey, I appreciate y'all for y'all time, and I will be back later on.